Modern Pirata by Manuel Ortega Abis. In the bustling heart of Metro Manila, amidst the chaos of Quiapo's market streets, Divisoria's business allure for pointing finger food that had its dirt shaken and boiled off, the complex upscaling of the tiangas of Green Hills, and the currently outsourced neon glow of Cubao's nightlife, there was a quiet undercurrent, a secret world hidden beneath the city's surface. This was the world of the modern Pirata, a group of street poets and underground artists who claimed their heritage as descendants of the ancient seafarers and pirates of the Philippine archipelago. The leader of this group was Alon, a young man with eyes as deep as the ocean and a spirit as untamed as the sea. He was known for his indigo-stained hands, a homage to the ancient dye that his ancestors once bled from the land. Alon believed that their art, their words, were the new treasures of the modern world, more valuable than gold or silver. Every night, Alon and his crew would gather and orbit in the shadowed alleys of Metro Manila, performing spoken-word poetry that echoed the rhythms of the waves and the cadence of ancient chants. They spoke of freedom, of the lost art of waiting behind reefs, and the wisdom of their forebears who navigated the treacherous waters of both sea and society. Their performances drew in crowds from all walks of life: students, workers, street vendors, and even the occasional foreign tourist. Each person was enchanted by the raw emotion and the powerful stories that wove together history and the modern struggle. Alon's favorite poem to recite was "Because We Were Pirates," a reminder of their roots and a call to reclaim their identity. But the Pirata were not just poets. They were activists, using their art to speak out against corruption and inequality. They smuggled messages of hope and rebellion through their performances, much like their ancestors who once traded tales and treasures across the seas. Their words became the new currency of change, spreading like wildfire through the streets and into the hearts of the people. One evening, as Alon stood on a makeshift stage under the flickering light of a street lamp, he felt a shift in the air. The crowd was larger, the energy more electric. He knew something was about to happen. As he began to recite, the crowd fell silent, hanging on to every word. His voice carried the weight of centuries, of ancestors who had fought and bled for their place in the world. "We are pirates once more," Alon declared, "not of the seas but of this land. We seek not to conquer, but to create, to find peace in the rhythm of our words and in the strength of our unity." The crowd erupted in applause, their cheers echoing through the narrow streets. In that moment, Alon realized the true power of their art. It was not just about reclaiming their past, but about forging a new future, where their voices could be heard, where their stories could inspire. As the night wore on, Alon and his crew continued to perform, their words weaving a tapestry of hope and resilience. They were modern-day pirates, navigating the turbulent waters of islands in flux, searching for a place where their voices could rise like the tide and bring about change. In the heart of Metro Manila, the modern Pirata had found their home, not in the stolen treasures of old, but in the indigo-stained verses of their poetry, a legacy of the past and a beacon for the future. Because we were pirates before we were poets, rough with our words, rougher still with our verses. We never stole from strangers, we only borrowed what we needed. Like the indigo dye we bled from and traded for an old and dying river's soul. We never considered ourselves as more or less a people with a place to fight for. Because outside of the river, We were also skilled with the ancient art of the sea. Faring sort, we forged our swords and jugs and wove our hair in long, exotic braids. We searched for other strewn islands, like the coarse backs of edible turtles, and counted our days of sailing and drifting through a native game of dye and pebbles, of bartering our own abaca-textured tales with those Silk Road stories. Women we left behind before we boarded our caracoans and balangays again, from where we, as wild, unbearded gypsies, have boarded their young and pitch-covered vessels like the warm scent of blood running wild in the veins of children. Because we were divers and readers of tides before we were writers and swimmers. Of skies, we learned the wisdom, the truth, the creativity of waiting behind the loneliest of reefs, small and maneuverable against the mightiest ships from the west. We bartered with our own lives, with freedom in the archives, etched in plates of copper and silver and gold, and walked the mountainsides and ridges of hills with our women as equals, for only the old would be wise to govern, to hold still our own imagination as sovereign. Because we were painters of bodies and faces before we dared drew the signs and maps of venerable places, we never understood, never could we. This world's dichotomy, we only had we and a person who is neither a he nor a she, as in Sia. Further and more, dynasties were always a part and parcel of our politics. Intermarriages kept rich such racial mix. And for a while our feet would, over crusts of faulted bedrocks, stand soon as our mothers and sisters and wives bear pregnant with the new songs of children, away and far, more than sirens and mermen could interpret in waves of silence. Thus, for the first time we assumed vulnerable and virgin like the wood of blow pipes and yo-yos in the age of poisoned metal, and not for the last time we came to respect the names of trees and mountains and rivers and lakes, and yes, the ever-calling and wandering seas. For the first and last time, as pirates, we were longing for peace. What potion was this, which made us drunk for centuries, around the campfires and forced us to wear more than our battle trunks? What ethereal beings danced around the rabid moonlight of the eastern stars, save the rhythm and the rhyme and the meter of what we carved out as tattooed scars? Because we were pirates before we were poets, tough with our words, tougher still with our curses. We never had friends so like our enemies, and never had enemies with the same knees, such reason. Only families so intended and extended, so islanded and inlanded, only families with whom we have traded, only families of riddles, of epics, and of idioms. Because we sought to build our home in the discovery of the native metaphor within our poem, now we are once more pirates even of the land that is supposed to be ours, or so we had thought. We have immortalized the old songs of our adventure, of the ever-calling and wandering seas. We have wrought thus, and have distributed in the hills of green and the houses of Quiapo, Divisoria, Cubao, and invulnerable places more. We are pirates again, longing for peace that is like something smuggled through an open backdoor entry and peddled through a kind of spoken sidewalk poetry. Poetry, whose Greek prefix could have been metro, as mother of the literary arts, and indigo, which could have been the etymological source of Manila. Poetry, indigo, metro, Manila. Here we are pirates once more, not of the seas, but of our indigo poetry and beyond. We seek not to conquer, but to create. We seek not to hate, but to harmonize, to find peace in the rhythm of our words and in the strength of our unity.